Sharon Gaffney joins me on the set to take a closer look at what the papers have been saying today. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Jeannie.
Lots of focus, of course, on the situation in Ukraine, particularly for this battle of Donbas that's now begun.
Exactly, and the Russian offensive in the Donbas region, it's been described as an inflection point in the war. The Washington Post saying this phase of the invasion, it's likely to see a different kind of fighting to what's come before. Instead of urban conflict and combat, it says the battle will be played out now in rural areas on open ground. But what's not likely to change, the paper says, is what it calls the brutality being inflicted on civilians by Russian troops, describing their conduct as up close and personal cruelty. The Wall Street Journal, meanwhile, it says that defeat for the Kremlin here wouldn't just result in the demise of the career of Vladimir Putin, but it would also have long-term consequences for his country and would change the entire course of Russian history. It says 3 beliefs underpin political thought in Moscow, and it says that these would be dashed by a defeat in the Donbas, and there being the belief that Russia is different, that its difference is transcendentally important, and that it gives Russia a unique role in world history, and that without these beliefs, the paper says the country would be plunged into an identity crisis with unpredictable political consequences. Now, another political consequence, according to the French paper La Croix, of the war appears to be a rise in support for Putin at home. The paper says this is a paradox, and it says that the sanctions being imposed by Western nations don't appear to be doing much damage to Putin's reputation and his standing at home. The paper says that middle-class Russians, people who work in the private sphere, who travel a lot, who would have been previously quite critical of the Kremlin, they're saying that they feel that they're actually being targeted by these Western sanctions. And the journalist here, it speaks to a young woman who says that, she's quite despairing of the fact that the measures being imposed on Moscow are being viewed by many there as evidence that the West is seeking to punish Russia.
Sharon, here in France, we're now just 5 days away from that final runoff of the French presidential election, and the economic policies of the candidates, the President Emmanuel Macron and far-right leader Marine Le Pen, are coming increasingly under closer scrutiny.
Exactly, and Le Parisien is one of those papers doing just that this morning. It's describing Marine Le Pen's policies when it comes to the economy as dubious and inaccurate. It says that some of her pledges, such as her proposal to cut income tax payments for people under the age of 30, it says that they'd actually be impossible to implement and that they're unconstitutional.
The French papers are also focusing a lot on Marine Le Pen's far-right ideology.
Yes, and there's a striking image on the front page of L'Humanité, the newspaper featuring Marine Le Pen and her former far-right rival Eric Zemmour, suggesting that behind the facade, the two are one and the same person when it comes to their hardline policies. It says you just need to dive a little deeper than surface level to see how similar their policies actually are. And it says that can also be seen in voter intentions, with 4 out of every 5 Zemmour voters intending to cast their ballot for Marine Le Pen on Sunday.
Staying with the election now, Emmanuel Macron has been bearing more than many voters might have been bargaining for.
I don't know if you saw this photo over the weekend, Jeannie, but the French president, he's been deploying his war chest in what some commentators are describing as a desperate attempt to win over undecided voters. Yes, his official photographer posted this behind-the-scenes campaign photo of the candidate reclining on a yellow sofa with his shirt buttoned down. Britain's Daily Telegraph is asking if political leaders should ever use this kind of tactic, what it describes as an overtly masculine, uncomfortably informal portrait involving excesses of bodily hair, as you can see there, and the familiar political scent of eau d'esperation. The Guardian, meanwhile, is wondering if the return of the rug could be the start of a new fashion trend. This isn't actually Emmanuel Macron's chest that you can see here behind me, but it says the president may receive a bounce in the polls thanks to that lazily draped left arm that we saw earlier, the extra room on the sofa beside him, the inviting smile. In short, Jeannie, the downright masculinity of the man.
All right, staying with that bearing it all theme, you're going to leave us with another take on masculinity and political leadership.
And it's another image that may burn the eyeballs of viewers. American TV host Tucker Carlson is urging men to stand naked and spread-eagled and gaze towards the heavens while perched specifically on top of a large rock at twilight. A red light will then be beamed towards their nether regions, Jeannie, Gary Tucker is calling this testicle tanning, and he's using it to promote both his TV show and his claim that men are physically weaker than they used to be, and that this is translating into weaker political leadership, a decline in masculinity, and the rise of the left.
All right, Sharon, thanks for that. Sharon Gaffney there with our look at today's papers. Don't forget, if you want to take another look at perhaps Emmanuel Macron's hairy chest, you can do that on the website. The address, of course, France24.com.